The moment you decide that your life will no longer be average, something strange begins to happen around you. People start noticing you in a different way. The same people who ignored you yesterday suddenly have opinions about your future. The moment you start waking up earlier, working harder, thinking bigger, and refusing to settle for the life everyone else accepted, the whispers begin. Someone says you've changed. Someone laughs and says you're dreaming too big. Someone quietly waits for the day you fail so they can say, "I told you so." This is the moment where most people feel uncomfortable. They start questioning themselves. They start slowing down. They start wondering if maybe the crowd is right. But this moment right here is actually the first real sign that you are moving in the right direction, because people do not talk about someone who is standing still. Nobody gathers around to criticize the person doing nothing with their life. Nobody feels threatened by someone who has already accepted defeat. Silence surrounds average lives, but movement attracts attention. Ambition attracts noise. Growth makes people uncomfortable, especially those who secretly know they should be doing more with their own lives. When you begin rising, you become a mirror for everyone around you. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your effort exposes their laziness. Your courage exposes their fear. And instead of admitting that truth to themselves, many people choose the easier option. They talk about you. They will say you are arrogant when you finally start believing in yourself. They will say you are obsessed when you become focused. They will say you have changed when you stop tolerating things that once held you back. But what they really mean is that your growth is reminding them of the version of themselves they abandoned. And that makes people uncomfortable in ways they don't always understand. So they laugh, they gossip, they question your decisions, not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are doing something uncommon. Think about every successful person you've ever heard about. Before the success, before the recognition, before the respect, there was always a phase where people doubted them. People questioned their choices. People criticized the risks they were taking. This stage is unavoidable. It is almost like a test life puts in front of anyone who wants more. The world watches closely to see if you will fold under pressure or if you will keep moving forward while the noise grows louder around you. Most people fail this test because they crave approval. They want everyone to understand them. They want support from people who never supported anything ambitious in their own lives. But winners understand something powerful. They understand that approval is not required for progress. You don't need everyone clapping for you to move forward. You don't need permission to improve your life. In fact, the more unusual your path becomes, the more criticism you should expect to hear, and that is where your mindset must shift. Instead of feeling discouraged when people talk about you, you begin to recognize it as a signal. Noise means you are visible. Criticism means your actions are being noticed. Doubt from others often appears the moment you step outside the limits they accepted for themselves. The talking, the whispers, the opinions, they are all part of the price people pay when they refuse to stay average. Some people will try to slow you down with subtle comments. They'll joke about your goals. They'll question whether your effort is worth it. Others will do it more directly, telling you that you're wasting your time or that success like the one you imagine is unrealistic. But what they're really doing is revealing how small their own vision has become, because people with big goals rarely spend time attacking someone else's ambition. They're too busy building their own future, so when the talking starts, understand what it actually means. It means you stepped out of the crowd. It means you stopped following the script everyone else was comfortable reading. It means you are doing something bold enough to attract attention in a world full of people who are too afraid to try. And once you understand that, something powerful happens inside your mind. The criticism stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like confirmation that you are moving in a direction most people will never have the courage to explore. The moment you start thinking differently from the crowd, something fascinating happens. People begin reacting to you in ways that don't always make sense at first. You might be excited about your goals, focused on improving your life, building discipline, planning bigger things for your future. But instead of encouragement, you often receive confusion, doubt, or even criticism. This is where many people get discouraged because they expect others to understand their vision. But the truth is, Most people cannot support a mindset they have never experienced themselves. Average thinking creates a comfortable cage. Inside that cage are routines that feel safe, predictable conversations, familiar habits, and limits that nobody questions. Many people spend years inside this environment, slowly convincing themselves that this is all life can be. So when someone suddenly steps outside of that mental cage and begins speaking about ambition, risk, discipline, and long-term success, it creates tension. Not because the dream is impossible, but because it challenges the beliefs people have been using to stay comfortable. Imagine telling a group of people that you are going to transform your life, that you're going to work harder than you ever have, that you're willing to sacrifice comfort for growth, that you're not interested in average results anymore. Some people will smile politely, some will laugh, some will immediately start listing reasons why it probably won't work. In that moment, it may feel like they're attacking you, but what they're really doing is protecting the reality they understand. If your vision becomes real, then their excuses become exposed. People are rarely afraid of your failure. What truly unsettles them is the possibility that you might actually succeed. Because if you succeed, it forces them to confront a difficult question about their own lives. It forces them to ask themselves why they never tried, why they accepted less, why they stayed in the same place while someone else from the same environment decided to aim higher. And many people would rather dismiss your ambition than face that uncomfortable reflection. This is why you'll hear comments that sound logical on the surface, but are really rooted in fear. Someone will say you're being unrealistic. Someone will say you're changing too much. Someone will warn you not to dream so big. But if you listen closely, those words often come from people who have already made peace with limits that were never truly fixed. They have convinced themselves that effort is pointless, that success belongs only to a small group of lucky individuals, that trying too hard will only lead to disappointment. So when you show up with energy, vision, and determination, it disrupts the story they have been telling themselves for years. Another powerful truth is that ambition highlights insecurity in others. When someone sees you becoming disciplined, improving your habits, working on your goals every single day, it can make them uncomfortable about their own lack of action. Your growth unintentionally shines a light on the gap between where they are and where they could be. And instead of closing that gap with effort, many people attempt to close it with criticism. They try to bring your energy down so they don't have to raise theirs. But here is what strong minds eventually understand. Not everyone is supposed to understand your path in the beginning. Vision is often lonely at first. Before success becomes obvious, it looks strange from the outside. Before results appear, effort looks unnecessary to those who cannot see the long-term plan forming behind the scenes. This is why the early stages of any transformation require a different kind of confidence. The kind that does not rely on constant approval from others. When you realize that criticism often comes from misunderstanding, something shifts inside your perspective. Instead of getting angry or discouraged, you begin to see the situation clearly. You recognize that many people are speaking from their limitations, not from your potential. Their doubts are shaped by the risks they never took, the fears they never challenged, and the comfort zones they never escaped. And once you see that clearly, their opinions stop carrying the same weight they once did. You start moving differently. You stop explaining every move. You stop trying to convince everyone that your goals are possible. You begin investing that energy back into your work, your discipline, your improvement. Because the truth is that success eventually explains everything far better than words ever could. Results speak a language that even your loudest critics understand. And the same people who once questioned your direction often become silent when the progress they doubted becomes impossible to ignore. And while they're still trying to understand how you changed so much, you're already focused on the next level, the next challenge, the next step forward, while the noise slowly fades behind you and your actions continue speaking louder than any explanation you could have given them. There is a moment in every ambitious person's journey where they feel the urge to respond. Someone questions you, someone mocks your goals, someone spreads doubt about what you're trying to build, and your first instinct is to defend yourself. You want to explain your vision. You want to prove them wrong immediately. You want them to understand that you're serious, that you're capable, that they misjudged you. But the strongest people in the world learn something that changes the entire game. They realize that constant explanation is a distraction, and silence is often the most powerful response a person can choose. Most people are addicted to reacting. Social media made this even worse. Everyone feels like they must respond to every comment, every opinion, every piece of criticism thrown in their direction. But every minute spent arguing is a minute not spent building. Every emotional reaction gives your focus away to someone who has done nothing to earn that energy. When you begin to understand this, your mindset shifts from defending yourself to investing in yourself. Think about how powerful it is when someone expects a reaction from you and receives nothing instead. They throw negativity your way, waiting for you to engage, waiting for you to argue, waiting for you to justify yourself, and you simply continue working. No explanation, no emotional outburst. Just progress happening quietly in the background. That kind of silence confuses people. It makes them uncomfortable because the truth is that arguments are easy, but discipline is rare. Many people talk all day about what they're going to do. They explain their plans to everyone around them. They announce their goals. They debate with critics online. They spend hours trying to convince the world that they're going to succeed. But real winners move differently. They don't need constant attention. They don't need approval before they take action. Their focus is not on being believed. Their focus is on becoming undeniable. Silence creates a kind of mystery around your progress. While others are busy talking about what might happen, you are quietly making things happen. While others are arguing about possibilities, you are building results step by step. This is the difference between those who seek validation and those who seek victory. One group wants recognition before the work is done. The other group understands that recognition naturally follows consistent effort. Another powerful thing about silence is that it protects your energy. Every time you argue with someone who doubts you, you give them a piece of your mental focus. And mental focus is one of the most valuable resources you have when you're chasing a big goal. Your attention determines your direction. If your attention is constantly pulled toward negativity, criticism, and pointless debates, your progress slows down without you even realizing it. Strong individuals learn to guard their attention carefully. They become selective about where their energy goes. Instead of reacting to every opinion, they channel that energy into improvement. They train harder, think deeper, work longer, and build stronger habits while others are busy creating noise. Over time, that quiet discipline produces something far more convincing than words ever could, and here is where the real power of silence begins to reveal itself. When you stop responding to every critic, people start watching your actions more closely. At first, they may assume you have nothing to say. Then they begin noticing that while you stayed quiet, your life started changing, your skills improved, your confidence grew, your results started appearing one by one. The same people who expected an argument begin to realize that your silence was never weakness. It was focus. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, the person who stays focused on the work automatically stands out. Not because they demanded attention, but because their progress becomes impossible to ignore. Silence removes the need to constantly defend your path. It replaces explanation with evidence. Instead of saying you're serious, you show it through consistency. Instead of promising success, you build it step by step while others are distracted by conversations that lead nowhere. This approach requires patience because results take time. There will be moments when you feel like speaking up, moments when you feel misunderstood, moments when you want to correct every false assumption someone makes about you. But the individuals who achieve the most in life learn to delay that satisfaction. They understand that the strongest statement is not made through arguments or speeches, but through undeniable progress that speaks for itself, while the people who once demanded explanations slowly begin to realize that you were never trying to convince them in the first place, and that everything you needed to say was always being written through your actions. There is a reason most people never reach the level of success they talk about. It is not always because they lack talent. It is not always because opportunities never appeared. In many cases, the real problem is much simpler and much more dangerous. They cannot stay focused long enough to build something meaningful. The world today is designed to pull your attention in 1,000 different directions. Notifications, opinions, trends, arguments, endless scrolling, constant comparison. Every single day your focus is under attack, and most people don't even realize how much it is costing them. The moment you decide you want more out of life, focus becomes your most valuable weapon. Not motivation, not hype, not temporary excitement. Focus, because motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel unstoppable, other days you feel tired, distracted, or uncertain. But focus is the discipline of continuing anyway. It is the ability to lock your mind onto a direction and refuse to let outside noise drag you away from it. This is where many people lose the battle without noticing. They say they want success, but their attention is everywhere except their goals. 1 minute they're working, the next minute they're checking what someone said about them, scrolling through criticism, comparing their life with someone else's highlight reel, or wasting energy proving something to people who never intended to understand them. Hours disappear like this. Days pass, weeks pass, and the dream they once felt excited about slowly loses momentum. Successful individuals protect their focus the same way a warrior protects a weapon. They understand that attention is power. Whatever you consistently focus on grows stronger in your life. If you focus on negativity, negativity expands. If you focus on distractions, progress slows down. But if you focus on improvement, skill, discipline, and action, your entire life begins to move in a different direction. Imagine two people starting from the same place. Same resources, same environment, same amount of time in a day. One of them spends most of their time reacting to the world. They respond to every opinion, every piece of drama, every distraction that appears in front of them. The other person chooses something different. They decide that their goal matters more than temporary entertainment or outside noise. Day after day, they invest their attention into learning, building, improving, and moving forward. At first, the difference between them is almost invisible. Weeks go by, and it may not seem like much has changed. But focus compounds in ways most people underestimate. Small daily efforts begin stacking on top of each other. Skills sharpen, confidence grows. Opportunities start appearing because preparation meets the right moment. Meanwhile, the distracted individual is still explaining why they haven't started yet, why conditions weren't perfect, why someone else had an advantage. This is why focus is such a dangerous weapon in the hands of a determined person. It creates separation. Quietly, slowly, but powerfully. While the world is busy arguing, complaining, and chasing short-term pleasure, the focused individual is building something that cannot be easily taken away. Every hour invested into meaningful effort becomes a brick in a foundation that grows stronger over time. But maintaining focus requires a decision that many people struggle to make. It requires letting go of the need to be involved in everything. You will miss some conversations. You will ignore certain opinions. You will step away from distractions that once felt normal. Some people may even say you are becoming distant or too serious. What they're really noticing is that your priorities have changed. You are no longer willing to trade your future for temporary attention, and the moment this mindset locks in, your life begins to move with a different kind of momentum. Instead of reacting to every little thing happening around you, you wake up with direction. Your energy has a target. Your time has a purpose. Slowly, the noise that once seemed important fades into the background, while your progress becomes louder than anything people were saying about you. There is a phase in every real success story that most people never see. It's the quiet phase, the phase where nothing looks impressive from the outside. No applause, no recognition, no viral moment, no crowd cheering your name. Just long days, discipline, doubt, learning, failure, adjustment, and effort repeated again and again while the world continues living as if nothing special is happening. This is the stage where most people quit because humans naturally crave validation. We want to know that what we're doing matters. We want signs that we're moving in the right direction. But the people who eventually shock the world understand that the most important progress usually happens when nobody is watching. Private victories are the foundation of public success. The hours you spend improving your skills when no one is clapping. The mornings you wake up early while others are sleeping. The nights you stay consistent even when motivation disappears. These moments feel small when they happen, almost invisible, but they are quietly building something powerful inside you. Discipline becomes stronger. Your mind becomes sharper. Your confidence stops depending on other people's opinions and starts depending on your daily actions. Most people today are trapped in the habit of announcing everything. They talk about the plan before the plan even begins. They tell everyone what they are going to achieve, what they are building, how big their goals are. For a moment, that attention feels good. It creates the illusion of progress. But talking about success and building success are two completely different things. When you speak too early, you often release the pressure that should have pushed you to work harder. The individuals who move differently understand this. They don't rush to show the world every step they are taking. They are comfortable being underestimated. In fact, sometimes they prefer it, because when people underestimate you, expectations drop. Pressure disappears. And you gain something extremely valuable: space to grow without constant noise around you. During this private phase, something important begins to happen internally. You start competing less with other people and more with your previous self. Yesterday's discipline becomes the standard you want to beat today. The version of you from last month becomes the person you want to outperform next month. This quiet competition builds a level of mental strength that no external praise can replace. Meanwhile, the outside world continues talking. Some people assume you gave up. Some think you weren't serious in the first place. Others stop paying attention completely. But behind the scenes, the work continues. Small improvements stack together. Knowledge grows, skills sharpen, habits solidify. What looks like slow progress from the outside is actually transformation happening layer by layer, and then eventually, a moment arrives that looks sudden to everyone else. The results appear. The business launches successfully. The skill reaches a professional level. The financial progress becomes visible. The confidence becomes undeniable. To the outside world, it looks like it happened overnight. People are shocked. They ask where you came from. They wonder how everything changed so quickly. But you know the truth. You remember the quiet mornings, the long nights, the moments when nobody believed in the vision except you. You remember the times when progress felt slow and invisible, when quitting would have been easier than continuing. Those private battles are the real reason the public moment becomes possible. This is why real winners don't chase attention too early. Attention is loud, but progress is quiet. Applause is temporary, but discipline builds something permanent. When you learn to fall in love with the private phase of growth, you develop an advantage most people never experience. Because while others are performing for the crowd, you are preparing for a moment that will speak for itself. And when that moment finally arrives, it doesn't need explanation. It doesn't need justification. It simply forces people to look again at the same person they once overlooked and realize that while they were busy talking, doubting, and watching from a distance, you were building something powerful enough to completely change how the world sees you. Let them talk. Let them doubt, let them laugh. Because the truth is, their words have no power over your life unless you give them that power. Every whisper, every criticism, every sideways glance is not a roadblock, it's a sign. It's proof that you are visible, that you are moving, and that you are doing something most people are too afraid to attempt. You've learned that when you rise, people will talk. You've seen that average minds fear what they don't understand. You've discovered that silence is not weakness but power. You've realized that focus is the weapon that separates dreamers from achievers. And you've understood that private victories lay the foundation for shocking the world with public results. The path to success is rarely loud. It is rarely flashy. It is filled with quiet mornings, relentless effort, sacrifices unseen, and consistency that no one applauds at first. But that is exactly why winners continue while others stop. They don't need approval. They don't need validation. They don't need people to understand their journey. Their energy is reserved for building, improving, and winning in ways that cannot be ignored. So, in 2026, make a choice. Stop worrying about the opinions of the crowd. Stop trying to prove yourself to those who are not willing to put in the work. Keep your focus sharp, protect your energy, work silently, and let your results do the talking. Every step forward, every hour invested, every small victory is moving you closer to a life so extraordinary that the world will have no choice but to notice. Remember, the loudest noise comes from those who are standing still. The people who are truly moving forward don't have time to argue. They are too busy winning. So let them talk. You keep rising. You keep building. You keep winning. And one day, the people who doubted you, the people who mocked you, the people who whispered behind your back will finally realize that they were watching someone unstoppable all along. Your life is your proof. Your results are your revenge. Your focus is your weapon, and your silence is your power. Keep moving, keep winning. Let the world talk, because in the end, you are the one who will be remembered.